We've got the game that a lot of people have been circling on their calendars as Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs travel to Denver, take on Bo Nix and the Broncos. My name's Tyler here with my brother Ryan. We're going to break down this Week 11 AFC West matchup, provide our predictions at the end. So be sure to stay tuned. Leave a comment. Let us know who you think is going to win and why. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button. Get notified when new videos come out. We're trying to get to 100 new subscribers this week. Let's see if we can do that on this video alone. And Ryan, let's get into it here. Broncos won on Thursday Night Football. That is all that needs to be said about that game. If you're Broncos fans, a W is a W. Let's hey, it was a bad performance, but a win is a win. That's all that matters. You guys are 8-2 now on the season. 2.5 games up on Kansas City, and this is a big one too, as Kansas City's coming off a bye. This is the Broncos' last game before their Week 12 bye, so they can have big momentum going into their final couple games of the season here. And the Broncos have been super impressive. I know offensively their numbers like these past couple of weeks haven't been particularly great. But they're still 13th overall in total yards per game, 16th in passing yards per game, and then 8th in rushing yards per game. One of the better offensive lines in the whole league, only giving up 9 sacks in the entire season. Bo Nix is really developing well under Sean Payton in this new system. We kind of joked about it, like when like Bo Nix coming out through the drafting like process early last year before he got drafted. We're like, hey, if there was one team that made sense because he's very high completion, a lot of high percentage throws, Sean Payton's offense would fit that system, and he
Yeah.
brings that firiness and that competitiveness to here. And now Sean Payton as well too is one of the best coaches that we've ever seen. We'll forget about all the other scandals and whatnot. He is still like one of the better offensive minded coaches in the league. And also, so is Andy Reid. And they got Patrick Mahomes, one of the greatest quarterbacks that have ever played this game. This is going to be a phenomenal matchup here. And I'll say this now, too, as well. Kansas City has struggled in Denver just historically over these past couple of years, especially during Patrick Mahomes' tenure. And this defense now has only gotten better, especially,
Yeah.
I think, even better than last year as well, too.
Yeah. And we'll have to see. Is Pat Surtain on IR or is he?
So he's not on IR. They're expecting to have him back. No, like which they said 4 to 6 weeks, which would put him at week 13. But he's not on
Yeah.
IR, so it does make me question if he is available for this game.
Yeah.
That would be a huge, huge boost for this team. But that being said, though, too, I mean, you still have studs like Nick Benito's having such an amazing year so
Yeah.
far. You're still gonna have guys like Zach Allen. You have Malcolm Roach. They still have that Alex Singleton there as well too. The secondary, I think, is still playing well, even without Pat Surtain. They'd love to have
Yeah.
him there, but
Oh,
I
for
think the
sure.
biggest thing though, this front seven for Denver has just been playing lights out.
Yeah. And you look, and I know this Chiefs offensive line has been struggling, but hopefully with Josh Simmons now back with the team, hopefully this offensive line takes a step forward. But Nick Benito is a tough matchup for anybody, let alone
Yeah,
somebody who hasn't necessarily, personal reasons aside, he just hasn't been with the team that long. We're now at week 11, and the team has played 4 or 5 weeks without him. So that's going to be a tough adjustment for anybody to just come back into the NFL at this point. And I think, Nick Benito, again, is a tough matchup for anybody, especially a guy who hasn't been with the program for a month, if not a little longer. And so I think that's going to be the big thing here for this Chiefs team is just can they win in the trenches on the offensive side of the ball? This Chiefs offense has struggled to run the ball traditionally. Patrick Mahomes is he was their leading rusher, I believe, before the bye. I'm not sure if that still is the case. So they're 6th in passing yards, they're 12th in rushing yards. But the big thing that this Chiefs team has done so much better this year than especially last year and years past is they've protected the football. They're 2nd in turnovers so far this year. And I think that's really speaks to Patrick Mahomes cleaning up some of the, I don't want to say sloppiness because he's been the best quarterback in the league for a long time, but cleaning up some of the sloppiness. Sure, I'll say it.
yeah.
I think hopefully the audience gets what I'm trying to say here. And so I think this offense has become efficient. They found ways to supplement the run game, whether that's Patrick Mahomes scrambling or whether they're just getting the ball out really quickly into high percentage throws in the passing game. So all in all, like I think this team is really this Chiefs team is really good, but I think you go look at what Denver has done so far this year. They've been able to win some grinded out games. They've blown some teams out. And I love this Denver defense. So while this loads, Denver right now, they're third in total yards allowed, 6 against the pass and 6 against the run. They're first in sacks with 40, and they are 24th in takeaways. But to be fair, when you're that high level, sometimes you take opportunities away from yourself by getting sacks or by teams being conservative. So
Yeah. Now the takeaway stat's just a nice kind of
yeah.
to me it's more offensively like how much are they turning the ball over.
Mhm.
Well, defensively, yeah, if you can create picks or get sack fumbles, like that's great. But I think the sacks is more. And so, answer your question real quick. Isaiah Pacheco's leading rusher at 329. Kareem Hunt is 294. Patrick Mahomes is 285.
Okay.
When it comes to their leading rushers, and I think that's going to be the thing in general is how is this offensive line going to play as a whole? Is Juwan Taylor going to be able to come back healthy? He got a little banged up. Is Josh Simmons going to be able to come back? I believe he is. I hope all is going well in that department. But that 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 core group of guys, the offense and like the running back room, and I'll include Patrick Mahomes in that, are going to have a big game in general because if the Broncos can very easily make them one dimensional with how great this front seven is, so they're going to have to get some sort of push and make this Denver defense kind of have to think about like defending the run, which is going to open things up in the Kansas City Chiefs passing game because I think that's where it's going to be really interesting with Pat Surtain's out of there. So much speed in this receiving room. You know, with Rashi Rice, Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, they're going to be coming off a bye week as well too, so they're going to be even more well rested. They're going to have some sort of balanced attack because I do think if it's going to be I mean, could they win this game if Mahomes goes 40 for 50 for 350 yards and 4 touchdowns? Like they absolutely could. I think that's unlikely against this
Yeah.
Broncos team. This Broncos team has. I don't think they've really allowed anybody to do that all year. And they played some good offense. I think the only one I think might actually be, I think it was the Colts game. They gave up 473 yards, 306 yards of offense, and 167 rushing yards against them. And that Colts offense, that was at home. Sorry, that was in Indianapolis. And it was also the second week of the season, too. And they really honestly should have won that game if it wasn't for a leverage call on the 60
Yeah.
yard field goal. So no one's really done that against this Broncos team. And this Kansas City Chiefs passing game is back to what it was, but they are really struggling to run the ball here. And on the flip side as well, too, I think another core group of guys is going to have a really big game overall. And I mentioned this in the Buffalo game as well, too. It's going to be this linebacking room of Kansas City. It's going to Nick Benito, Drew Tranquill. They're going to have good games. Leo Chenal, good games because how balanced Sean Payton likes to have his offense on running and passing. They might be without J.K. Dobbins, but you still have R.J. Harvey back there. You're still going to have this offensive line that's going to provide a good push overall. There's still just a good balanced offensive room. They don't have like the name, so to say, as Kansas City does when it comes to that receiving room, but I still like just the combination. You still have Cortland Sutton leading the way. That's going to be a really fun matchup between him and also Trent McDuffie in general. Yeah, Trent McDuffie. Yeah. With Trent McDuffie. And then even two, Troy Franklin's coming along strong. You still got Pat Bryant that's coming along there. Marvin Mims is a little banged up, but still, all those guys fit really well within Sean Payton's system. I really like these offensive systems similar to Sean Payton's or maybe Matt LaFleur's in Green Bay, where really like anybody could eat. Like on any
Yeah.
given day because of the motion that they have and how they're able to create space. So they're going to really be effective on play action, getting guys open. Just a little dump off passes even to Adam Trotman or Evan Ingram as well, which is going to just free things up for Bo Nix in this running game. So, and that's I think is just going to be the difference. And for me, I think why I'm going to go with Denver. And one, I've been thinking about this game for a couple of weeks now on who I'm going to pick for this game because this is a big overall matchup. I'll get to the standings here in a second after your prediction, but I think this Denver defense is one of the best defenses, if not the best defense in the league. I think they're going to make Patrick Mahomes and them one dimensional. Are they going to score touchdowns against this defense? I believe so, yes, but it's going to be fewer and far between. While I think Sean Payton and Bo Nix, I think they're going to have a much more balanced offensive attack, and that's really going to throw off this Kansas City Chiefs defense. And
Mhm.
I say this too: this Denver Broncos offense does remind me of a lot of what this Buffalo Bills offense does. Now, Buffalo Bills Josh Allen. I mean, he's more superstar than Bo Nix. But I will say, though, they do have Cortland Sutton, which is going to be the best receiver amongst everybody. And they have a very similar rushing approach as well, too. It's more running back by committee with Denver versus like it's very heavy James Cook. But I think you go look at what Buffalo did, though, very balanced, like run the ball, and that's going to create space, open and play action. They're
Mhm.
able to use that pretty effectively against this Kansas City Chiefs defense. And at the same time, too, as well, Buffalo defense is much worse than Kansas City, and they were able to disrupt this Chiefs offense. And so I think it's going to be a very tough time for Denver. For Kansas City in this game, and I think Denver is going to come out victorious here.
Yeah. I think this is a massive game for the standings. Denver is 2 games up right now, so obviously it's not like for the division lead at this point in the season. But I think you look at where Kansas City is in the standings, and if they don't win this game, they almost have to play perfect down the stretch. And that is a really tough place to be. Um, And I think you go look at Denver, and I think a lot of the things are stacking up in favor of Denver. I think you look at the 2 tackles. Jawan Taylor, like you said, got banged up. Josh Simmons is coming back from his personal events and is going to be most likely going to be making his first start in almost a month and a half, I believe. And
Yeah.
I think you look at what Denver's trying to do. The interior of that offensive line, Trey Smith has been banged up this year and missed some time. Creed Humphreys has been good. Kingsley Suamataia got banged up in the last game as well. I think that only favors Denver. And then receiver wise, I think the Chiefs have a really good set of receivers, but I really trust the back end of this Denver defense. This Denver running game, I think, is really good, and I think that they can give the Chiefs some fits, whether they're going to run between the tackles or outside, run a lot of outside zone and really stress this defense sideline to sideline. I really like Denver in this matchup. And you said it too. Kansas City struggles at Mile High. Uh, I think Denver gets it done. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but like the Chiefs are going to go 5-5, and you mentioned like we'll talk a little bit about the standings, but they still have some tough matchups uh, coming up, and they almost at 5-5. If they go 11-6 with where they are, so they would be outside the standings or outside the playoff standings as we see it. The Chargers are not going to win the division. The Chargers currently have the tiebreaker over the Chiefs. The Jaguars are not going to win their division most likely, and they have a tiebreaker against the Chiefs. And the Bills are not going to win their division how it seems right now. The Bills are not going to win their division, and they have a tiebreaker against the Chiefs. So that puts the Chiefs in a really precarious situation now where they have to not just be 11-6, they might have to be 12-5 to get into the playoffs and basically run the table.
Yeah. No, and that's exactly right. And so they have big playoff games coming up here. So they're at Denver this week. Week 12, they host the Colts. Week 13, they're in Dallas for Thanksgiving Day, which is going to be huge. And then they play the Texans in week 14. Um, and the Texans have a great defense as well too. Like that's going to be interesting. But then the Chargers in week 15, now they're home for that. But then at Titans, home against Denver, and then at Las Vegas. So like they have some big. I mean, Titans and Raiders are the easiest of the matchups. Now the
Yeah.
Raiders, we've seen that the past couple of weeks. I feel like they've played the Raiders at Las Vegas the past couple of years in a row. I'd have to go back and double check, but that's always just an interesting matchup just in general, since they're division rivals. But it is a tough matchup for Kansas City, and then for Denver here. If you go just on the flip side, you win this game, you're 9-2. You're at Washington, that should be a win. You're at Las Vegas. I would like to say that would be a win, but still though, at Washington coming off a bye, then at Las Vegas, that was still a tough game. And then you still have a pretty tough schedule here in weeks 15 through 18 with Packers, Jags, at Kansas City, and then home versus the Chargers as well too. So they
Mm-hmm.
still have a tough road here. That being said, though, it almost locks up a playoff spot or getting close to locking up a playoff spot for them, whether that
Yeah.
be for the division or a wild card. So this is going to be a big one in general. It's weird seeing Patrick Mahomes kind of in this position as a
Yeah.
whole, but we'll have to see what happens here. They've really put their backs against the wall.
Yeah. Didn't they, weren't they a wild card?
I think they were a wild card last year.
No, they were like 15-2 last year, but they won like 11 one-score games in
Chiefs?
a row. Yeah, the Chiefs.
They
I
won.
thought the Chiefs were maybe they were like the 4 seed a few years ago, and they had to go on the road twice to win because I don't think that they've. Yeah, because that was the year they had to go to Baltimore.
Oh, they did go 15-2. That was like the worst 15-2 team I felt like
Yeah,
last year. Yeah. But who knows? We'll see. That's the past. This is the present.
yeah. So I'm interested in this game, not just because of obviously it's a big division matchup and whatnot, but this could really put the Chiefs in a tough spot to try and make the playoffs going forward, and they still have a few really big matchups going forward in the AFC. So let's go ahead. Let's wrap up this video here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. That is the best way to help out the channel. While you're down there, leave a comment on who you think is going to come out ahead in this matchup. Will it be the Kansas City Chiefs? Will it be the Denver Broncos? And other than that, we'll see you guys next time.